met in 2007. It was in the month of March. Because I remember that because it happened to be a week before her birthday.
We've been together ever since. I saw him, and we were at a black and white party, and I saw him and said, who's that? That's the person for me.
So it's been 13 years?
Yep, and we've been together ever since.
It's kind of bittersweet. My favorite memory of, as a couple, I was in the hospital, had surgery. I needed to get back on my feet, and my wife decided to buy a muffin and set that muffin on the shelf right in front of my bed, and that was my motivation to get back on my feet so I could have that muffin.
For me, it wasn't too long after we met. I got sick and had the flu. He pretty much just dropped everything and came over, brought me puzzle books, orange juice and chicken soup, and, stayed with me, to make sure that I was okay. And I knew when I met him that he was the man for me, and I definitely know that he's the man for me, because that just told me what kind of character he really had,
I've experienced discriminations throughout my life.
Mm-hmm.
But to have those discriminations introduced to my wife, who had never experienced them before, that was a little disturbing for me, because it's one thing to have lived it all your life. It's another thing to be subjected to it just because she's with me. And that's one of the more difficult things that I've experienced directly. One of the things that one of the difficulties that I've faced is, unfortunately, should I be amongst a group of African Americans who don't know that I'm married to someone who is a Caucasian.
I'll never forget the first time that I really got just in my face was we were actually at a Rangers game. We were leaving, and I had to go to the ladies' room, and he was waiting out for me. And I come out, and there's this kid. He's probably maybe 16, 17, and it's like it's a standoff. And so I asked my husband, I was like, what is going on?
I was standing outside of the restroom waiting for her, and he was standing there as well. And he just looked over at me, looked me up and down, and spat on the floor right at my feet. And
I had never seen racism like I was shocked.
Mm-hmm.
I was horrified. My stepmother's Hispanic. I was brought up in a home where you really didn't see race. You really didn't see color. People were people. They just happened to look different. Race wasn't a factor in having friends and and things like that. It was never an issue.
Now as an African American, I've heard that before.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, we don't see race. We don't make a difference in those types of
Mm-hmm.
things. But it amazed me to actually see it lived. And in her family, they live it. They don't just speak it. So I was very impressed at how she was raised as well. So I grew up on the south side of Chicago. The elementary school I went to was 98.6% African American. Everywhere I went, everything I saw, everybody I interacted with on a regular basis, they were African American. It wasn't until I moved to Houston before I was actually able to interact with people of a variety of races. And for me, I had always rejected that idea that somehow being African American made you right and being anything else than that made you wrong. It was only then, when I was in the Army, that I actually had real conversations about race and got a chance to really get into the life of a young white man who grew up in Idaho on a farm, and talked to another fella who grew up as a white guy in Hawaii where he was the minority. It's amazing what happens to you when you take your blinders off and get rid of those, those preconceptions. You find yourself experiencing all kinds of things. It just expands your world.
I've always had friends who were inclusive as well. And so I feel like that we can have a conversation about race. And in fact, a lot of times we do, even among my friends and even in the office. People don't have a problem, listening to the news and saying, hey, did you hear about this? Did you see about that? And what's going on in the current administration, and having an open conversation about that. So I feel like that race, people don't have a problem. For some, they don't have a problem talking about race, and when people say things that are not inclusive or are racist, people saying, hey, what do you mean? That's not right. Let's have a conversation about that. Because I don't have a problem with that. I don't have a problem, saying something like that. Race is, it's just a color. It's nationality or whatever it is, whether it's the color of your skin or your sexuality or what have you. We're all in this together. Be open. Don't cut yourself off to the love of your life just because you have a set of boxes that you want to check off. They have to have all these things. When I met him, he had just moved back from another state.
So, yes, I didn't have a job, I did have a car, and I was living at home with my mama. So
be open. Be open to, when somebody comes into your life, when it feels right, then, be okay with that. Don't just cut them off because, you have some preconceived ideas about the person should do, should be, should this, that, or the other. Love them. We complete each other's sentences. We definitely we're for, I mean, we're definitely matched, because the night that we met, we spent the whole evening talking. I think we'd only been dating, maybe 2 months. I gave him a key to my house. Oh yeah, because I said, I didn't want to let him go. I was like, and I cleaned out half the closet. I was like, here, so you can put some stuff in. Yeah, because I didn't want to let him go. Because I was like, he's a good man.
Just because they're, someone of a different race doesn't make them better or worse. Just because you are who you are doesn't make you better or worse. Don't believe the hype. Don't buy into the social constructs and the preconceived how things should work. You'll get a lot of folks in your immediate circle that will try to influence you one way or another, but follow your heart.
Because
And
right.
and don't find yourself going along to get along. Treat everybody with respect. Treat everybody, with as you would want to be treated, and you'll be amazed at how that comes back to you. A guy growing up on the south side of Chicago, and but not keeping those borders and boundaries around me, and open myself up to the love of my life.
Ditto.